Good morning, I'm Jim Farrar and I'll be speaking about constructivism learning theory this morning. Welcome. I'll be running through a definition of constructivism, talking about some of the key features, individual versus social constructivism, some classroom practice implications, criticisms and my experiences and perspectives. The essence of constructivism is that students must individually discover and transform information rather than absorb it. The learner constructs knowledge through interaction. Teresa et al. Spoke about this, a young child seeing things, food, objects and other items falling down rather than up and beginning to grasp the concept of gravity rather than being told about it. Constructivism opposes prior transmissive views of learning. You cannot simply pour knowledge into a mind. Some of these alternative theories of behaviourism, which came about in the late 19th century, which was more about stimulus and response and about observable behaviours of the individual. Another cognitive theory was that of information processing, which is about how the mind layers and processes cognition, including memory and so forth. In many ways, constructivism is the most democratic learning theory. It treats students' knowledge, concepts and ideas as real, with cooperative learning and inquiry being critical. Constructivism theory states learners must discover and transform information to make it theirs through a process of checking new information against their existing knowledge and experience. Jean Piaget, who I'll come to in a minute, he said that students actively construct their own understanding through these cognitive structures or schemes and interaction with the environment. You have a simulation which is incorporating new understanding into these cognitive structures or schemes, and accommodating, which is modifying these existing schemes so that new experience makes sense. And cognitive development happens when there's a constant tug of war between assimilation and accommodation to restore a cognitive equilibrium, and this results in cognitive development. Individual versus social constructivism. Let's first talk about individual psychological constructivism. Jean Piaget, he's the father of cognitive development, and he said that individual discovery was about the heart of the learning. He imagined a child as a young scientist, working out theories, testing their own knowledge themselves, trial and error, albeit in a solitary way. Social constructivism was led by Vygotsky, and he brought the social aspect into this. He said that social interaction facilitated learning, and that was a key aspect. 4 key principles of social constructivism include the socio-cultural aspect of learning. With interaction with adults and more capable peers results in cognitive development. A zone of proximal development, where an individual will have a certain ability level that they can achieve on their own, and then beyond that is cognitive development they can achieve, but with the assistance of others. And then if an individual is operating in this zone, that's the best result. Cognitive apprenticeship. Vygotsky said that less capable peers, when in the company of more advanced peers or adults and so forth, this increases cognition and their cognitive development. And mediated learning, a bit like what I said before, where you aim for the complex rather than the simple goals, and support this via scaffolding with assistance and modelling by an adult and so forth. The implications for classroom practice are many. Constructivism theory in teaching leads to an approach in which teachers provide students with experiences that facilitate their personal construction of knowledge. Ireland spoke of a lesson guide versus a lesson plan. A lesson plan is a very linear plan of a lesson, whereas a lesson guide under the constructive theory allows for fast forwards, rewinds, feedback loops and so forth, depending on the abilities of the students and where lessons go. It's a little bit more laissez-faire. Also, to allow students to construct knowledge Constructivist theory espouses that information must be meaningful and relevant. Engagement is a key concept in this theory. Students give an opportunity to discover and apply things themselves, and being consciously aware of learning strategies and applying them. The theory is not without its criticisms. Teachers can be concerned that constructivism is not necessarily conducive to some of the proficiency exams, such as NAPLAN and the university entrance. We've seen the reading wars and so forth in Australia. Romantic views about student knowledge construction and resulting teacher practices. All they do is facilitate independent investigations and explorations of students. Not all human knowledge is subject and relative. We live in a complex society now, and these concepts can't just be discovered. A mechanism to evaluate against socially useful knowledge is still important no matter what. It's not all about the individual. Teaching methods may also not be uniform under the constructive theory. Ideally, lessons should be suited and correspond to children's individual characteristics, which causes time and resource constraints. My experiences, science laboratory experiments and field trips, I can always remember biology and chemistry, testing theories ourselves and working that. I've got seating plans at my primary school in arrangements groups, which is conducive to the social aspects of constructive theory, which Levitsky and Piaget both said. Even generic teacher practices, in my experience, support this. Things like asking more questions, giving time, answers, permitting open discussions, public pronouncements of students' thinking processes, and allowing students even to choose learning activities. I've taken you through the slide, definition, talked about the different types of constructivism, implications and the criticisms. The engaging democratic teaching practices based on constructive learning theory is why I favour it over the other theories. But behavioural principles and direct instruction still have its place. It's not necessarily always a conflict between constructing knowledge and listening to the teacher explain something. Thank you.